Hey Pisces, how are you guys? I'm excited to be back with you. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Rachel, I'm a shaman. If you like these, consider subscribing. I also have a website, thisheartsvoyage.com. I have a Patreon, Etsy. You can book a personal reading with me. All that stuff is below. Also, I just made a channeled playlist for love that I shared with Facebook and Instagram. I will put that in the description below if you guys want to check that out as well. If you're a music person, how the playlist works is go if you're trying to manifest love. I'm working on a money one. It's not done. The vibes are off. I don't bother with that one. If you're looking for love, or if you have a person, go to the playlist. Don't look at through the songs, just hit shuffle and see what comes on. And like, you can skip on, just go to the one that like vibes with you. If none of them vibe with you, it's just, you know, it's not your playlist. It's not for you. You might not be manifesting love right now. But if you do, just ask spirit what you need to know, what your person wants you to know, whatever, you know, what new relationship is manifesting into your life. Hit shuffle and then just like let the songs speak to you. There will be like messages in them. If you're interested, that's in the description. I like music for channeling, and my guides use music a lot with me. So I worked with them to do a playlist for you guys. I like to include songs that will improve your vibration. So if a song is irritating to you, don't listen to it, obviously, but a lot of the songs in there will are gonna uplift you a little bit. I tried to. We did our best. Okay. I was gonna say something, but I decided not to. I've been trying to figure out like which deck I want to use with you guys. I've been using different decks for everybody because the vibes have been weird. The vibes have been off lately. Also, what I'm going to start doing, sorry, it's taking me a second to get into the reading. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to start doing requests for readings because I'm stressing myself out too much trying to do all 12. It's exhausting for me. I don't really have as much time to do them right now. And it's just more fun that way for me. And I think for everybody else, if they're just random. And I can do collective readings, or I can do for certain signs. I just won't do like 2 signs in a row, the same reading like twice in a row. I don't want to do that. But other than that, whatever. You guys can let me know what you want. If, you know, somebody already commented what you want, just like their comment. That's fine. Okay, let's see. I see some of you are at like a crossroads right now. You're kind of like, there's a bridge from like your life that you once had that wasn't really in resonance with you. And there's like, you know, the life that you want to manifest that is in vibration with like your authenticity, your authentic self. But you have to like, you know, walk the bridge to get there. And I get for some of you, it's like you're focused too much on like the steps you have to take, and you're not doing the energy work that you need to be doing. You really need to work on raising your vibration, because like wanting, you know, a divine partnership, wanting to find your spouse that, you know, God sent for you, wanting to find a job, more money, whatever, like, are you the type of person that could handle that sort of blessing coming towards you? Is your life suited to handle that sort of blessing coming towards you? Work on like self-development, but also some of you, it's like you need to meditate and you need to work on like stilling your mind, because you're allowing like intrusive thoughts and negative thinking to negatively impact your environment, your relationships, your manifestations. And again, stop focusing so much on like how it's going to manifest. Just let the universe know what you want and then work on aligning yourself with it. And that doesn't mean that like you wave a magic wand and it just magically happens for you. You have to have an element of like action versus like manifestation. You know, it's passive versus active. It's the feminine and the masculine. You have to have both. You need to find more balance in your life. And for a lot of you, you need to get more in tune with your feminine energy and just like being and allowing. Stop always trying to look for like what you need to do next. Like allow your intuition to guide you a little bit. Yeah, approach your life right now with a beginner's mind, because like I said, you're on the bridge here from like your previous life to the life that you want. But it requires you to gain control of your emotional body through meditation, through rest for some of you. You also need to do like light sourcing. You need to raise your vibration, allow light energy to come through, because it's like you're doing shadow work. But I've explained this from like a shaman's perspective. When you, it's, you know, soul splitting. You leave soul shards throughout your life. You come into the world as your authentic self, and then, you know, the people raising you, people at school, kids, teachers, you know, people, coaches, the people that you experience throughout your life tell you that what you're doing is wrong. You need to do this. This is bad. This is how we do it. You know, boys act this way, girls act this way. So you take parts of yourself that are you and you start to hide them. You feel like, you know, embarrassed of them, ashamed of them. You fragment your soul and you leave that part of you in the past there, and then you continue on. And when you fragment your soul, it leaves a hole in your light body. So it's, you know, you take on other people's energies, other people's perspectives, and you carry that. So usually it gets to people hit rock bottom and they start to recognize that I am a shadow of what I once was. I don't even know myself anymore. I'm completely out of touch with who I am. My life doesn't reflect who I am. People that I hang out with, my relationships, whatever. So you start to do shadow work to address these shadows within you. And then, you know, when you heal it, when you integrate it, you invite part of that soul back. But there's an energy where when you're trying to repair your soul, you are removing what's not yours. There it leaves a hole in your aura. So what you need to do is work on filling that hole with light until that fragment can come catch back up to you. And it takes practice, because recognizing that this is not part of me, I left that part of me back when I was 10, you know, and this person made me feel embarrassed for something that I did that was natural to me. Or, you know, when I was 13 and somebody made fun of me at school. Those are parts of yourself that you have to pull back, but it takes some time to pull it back. So in the meantime, if you light source meditation, which is where you visualize light coming from the divine, filling up your body, pull the light into that part so that you don't have a hole in your aura that allows for other people's negativity, and especially like attachments. Other people can attach to you. You know, it's like when you get out of a bad relationship and there's this like void in your life. It's really common for people to get out of bad relationships and then to get right back into a new relationship that ends up turning into the exact same pattern from their past relationship. It's because you didn't take time to heal that aura. You had a crater in your aura, basically, in your energy body. And, you know, another parasitic person came and latched right on. It's common. It's very common. So again, light sourcing, meditating outside too, like in the sun with your hands up, your palms up, allowing, for some of you, you need to meditate outside at night. It's like you have too much masculine energy, you have too much sun energy, and you need more like moon energy. As you start to heal your past, you want to approach this new beginning that you have coming in with a beginner's mind. So don't keep looking for, you know, your past to repeat. Trust that you've put that cycle to rest. And if you do see like red flags from your past coming back up, it's good just to take note of them and then understand that you are only in control of your own self. I can't control how another person perceives me, responds to me, the like, you know, gossip or rumors that they've heard that they project onto me, or even like their own issues that they're projecting onto me because I remind them of somebody else. I can't control any of that. All I control is my mindset, my healing journey, what I allow into my life, and my own behavior. So it's part of, you don't have to expect negative things to happen. Of course, negative things are going to come out. You're not going to like heal and then never meet another toxic person in your life. It's going to happen. But as you evolve and you grow closer to who you are, you trust yourself more and you trust your intuition, and you know that those gut feelings are not wrong. So expecting something bad to happen is an ego. It's your ego is trying to keep you safe. We've learned from our history that being vulnerable in relationships is unsafe. It has led us to be abused, taken advantage of, before betrayed. So now I'm never going to allow myself to be vulnerable again, because it opens me up to being betrayed and hurt. You can't live your life that way, and if you live your life that way, you get stuck in the past and you're not able to move forward. So it's about healing your energy body, but also it's a mind, body, soul thing. There's more to it. It's not just, you can't just do energy healing and that's it. Like you have to work on your mental state. You have to work on quieting your mind. You have to work on recognizing an intrusive thought and not allowing that to take over. It's a lot of work, it is, but it's worth it, honestly. It's worth it. I am not where I want to be in life. There is a lot that I want to achieve in my life and I want to do in my life, but I'm able to recognize that life is a journey, and everything that I've experienced, every situation that seems like a failure, it taught me a lot about who I am, what I want, what I'll allow going forward. It taught me a lot about other people as well. So, it's the saying that you can't love yourself and who you are right now without honoring the experiences that made you who you are today. And that's not that we aren't allowed to be hurt or angry or feel some sort of way about a negative experience, especially another person bringing a negative experience into our environment. But part of you allowed that. Part of you resonated with that experience in some way and allowed that to happen. And that it's just part of life. We don't incarnate just to have things easy. That's not an earth vibration. If you incarnate on Earth, Earth is the battlegrounds of the galactic, all starseeds know that. Earth is not somewhere that you incarnate to have an easy, breezy life. There are so many other planes of existence that are, allow you just to experience love and manifesting and magic. Earth is you have to go through the trenches, But you wouldn't have incarnated if you couldn't handle it. So you can't let your past hold you back, and you can't allow negative things that have happened to you in the past keep you from, opening up and allowing things into your life. But it's an energy of blessing your past, Have you heard that? I didn't know if I wanted to talk about this or not, and part of me still feels like I don't want to. I have been contacted by somebody that I never expected to speak to again in my life, recently, within the past week. I didn't respond, and I don't know if I'm going to, because I really don't want to open that can of worms again. But it just got me thinking, because I could feel that you can feel when somebody's trying to manifest back in your life. You start, feeling sympathy for their situation. But I think that you can look on it. I don't know how specific I want to be. I don't really want to. This is the person that abused me that I've talked about quite a bit. A 5-year abusive relationship that I was in. I haven't talked to that person since I escaped with my dog and got a restraining order. I have not talked to that person. But they reached out to, I don't know, just apologize to me and let me know that, because, you know, in our relationship, I met them when they were 20 and I was 23. So we were kids and we grew up together in a lot of ways, but it was a very obviously toxic, scary situation to be in. But I think when people like hear about abusive relationships and they haven't actually like experienced a physically abusive relationship, they don't understand like what would keep you in that relationship. But like him and I, like it's not like he's abusive constantly, you know. I can count the amount of times he was physically abusive towards me, probably like on two hands throughout the entire relationship. There were a lot of fun times, and we were actually like really good friends. We did a lot of fun stuff together, especially because people that have, I think that it is good for like childhood like healing, to do fun stuff, like kind of childish stuff sometimes. But people that have had experienced trauma in their childhood really, really enjoy like doing things that allow them to relive moments of their childhood in a safe environment that they can feel in control of. So him and I, we would do like, we went to like theme parks all the time together, and we would do fun stuff together. Like, you know, we would go to Busch Gardens for Halloween. When we went there, I wanted to paint my face and no one else wanted to paint their face. He painted it with me, and like not only did he get his face painted with me, like he paid for us to get our face painted, you know. Like when we would go out, I never drove. He always opened the door for me. Like if we had bags, he would carry my bags. You know, it's not that he was like a monster all the time. It was a pathological thing within him. And then, you know, I was undiagnosed ADHD. I had a lot of things within me that allowed me to, I'm trying to think of the word, enable him. I was an enabler for sure. So having him reach out, I never expected to speak to him again. I never expected him to kind of reach out to let me know that his behavior had continued outside of the relationship, because throughout the relationship, it was always my fault, that I needed to change what I was doing. If I had only did this, or if I did that, if I went to therapy, if I did this, it would fix it. And it was like, it was never his fault. What he was doing is always my fault. So to have him kind of let me know that he's working on himself, which like I don't know, and I don't want to get into that, you know. I hope that he is. I hope that he's working on himself so that he doesn't continue to harm other people. But having him kind of, I think that was bold of him to reach out to me, honestly. But to let me know that, you know, his behavior continued, and that he deeply regretted the way that he treated me. I think that was a nice thing to do. And like I said, I've finally got to a point in your healing process, and I think that anger serves for a long time. I think that when you have a trauma bond, especially to someone that was abusive to you, I think that when you finally get out of that relationship and you see the truth, I think that being angry is good. I think that being angry, seeing that person as a monster, you know, invalidating all the good memories that you have together, I think that serves to help you heal and break free from that kind of mental conditioning to allow abusive behavior and constantly see the good in them and constantly feel like, you know, if we just try again, we're going to make it work. It was him and I knew that it was never going to work, honestly. There was a point when we were about 3 years into the relationship that we were talking about what we wanted for our futures. And at that point, the relationship had been physically abusive for a while. But again, it was like, you know, once a year, something really bad would happen. Not that he wasn't like, you know, emotionally, financially, there were other, you know, forms that the relationship was not healthy. But physically abusive, which is, you know, what most people consider abusive, that was rare. It really wasn't it wasn't all the time that he was doing it. We were talking about like what we wanted in the future, and we were driving home from something, and he told me that like He never wanted to have a yard. He wants to live in a condo without a yard. That he wants to live somewhere like New York City in a condo, no yard. And I was like, well, you know, I really want like a small farm is what I've always wanted. And I remember that like he was like, well, I'm never gonna do that with you. And I remember just like sitting there looking out the window and like crying silently, because I like recognized that like I'm never gonna be happy with him. And he's like, this is not we're not gonna, you know, be forever. But it was a very like enmeshed, abusive relationships. You become very enmeshed with each other. So and like I said, we did a lot of like fun, silly stuff together because we both liked that stuff. Like one time I surprised him by taking him to one of those like trampoline houses, those little like bounce houses for kids. And we did like a date night there. Oh my God, he had the time of his life, which I knew that he would. Like jumping around like a little string bean. I knew he would enjoy it. I had the worst time because I don't know why I was getting like motion sickness. Like I love roller coasters. I can do roller coasters. You know, I love theme parks and I love like the big rides. I hate when you go to a theme park with somebody that's afraid of roller coasters, because it's like, this is gonna be a terrible time. I want to go to the like, you know, biggest roller coasters that they have. I like that stuff. I don't know, something about like this trampolines, because you know they're not regular trampolines. They're like they shoot you up really high. Oh my God, I was getting so sick. I couldn't even jump. I would like jump like 2-3 jumps and I'd be like, whoa. It was so bad. It was so bad. I couldn't handle it. But you know, we have good memories like that. Not all of the memories that we have are like traumatic and awful. It's just at a certain point, it's the bad outweighed the good, and it was not a good connection. So, you know, I had to realistically to detach myself from that, because it was one of those situations that when we broke up, everybody was shocked. A lot of people, everybody thought we were going to get married. Like we used to, when we were out and we were an interracial couple, which like, you know, in the South where we lived, that's usually not something, and we got mean looks, you know, we got like racist white people being disrespectful to us every once in a while, but the majority of people would tell us that like, oh my God, like when are you two gonna have kids? You're so precious together. Like our first like trip we went on together, people kept stopping us and asking if we were honeymooners. Like we had a really good relationship at times, but I think him and I both have like magical thinking. And we just weren't wanting to accept the reality of the situation, that it was a really unhealthy, codependent, enmeshed, abusive relationship. So for a long time, I never wanted to speak to him again. I didn't care if he lived or died. I just was so like done with that situation. Angry that like so much of my life, and you know, the trauma, the fact that it's going to be really difficult for me to be in another relationship and not have like, I have PTSD from that relationship. I have diagnosed PTSD from that relationship. You know, it really messed me up bad. So I was angry for a long time, but I've got to a point in my healing that I can look at that situation and appreciate it, you know, for what it taught me. He taught me a lot, honestly. He taught me a lot. A lot of people, he would be shocked to hear this, that a lot of people like have, you know, consider me to be a cultured person. He met a girl from like the South. He used to call me a hillbilly in a derogatory way. He got mad like on our first couple of first dates because he went to like finishing school. He, you know, he was from a different world than I grew up. He got mad because I like held my fork the wrong way and I held my knife the wrong way, and I was embarrassing him, and like in a nasty way. He was abusive towards me. Yes. You know, I didn't know how to hold chopsticks. I hadn't really experienced any like ethnic food. So I think that, you know, in my relationship with him, he really educated me a lot about a world outside of like small town white, you know, Bible Belt America. He really, I grew a lot in that relationship. And I think that he loved me and I loved him for what we were able to do at that point. I don't think that it was real love. I think that we were both in love with the idea of each other and kept trying to force the other person to morph into that idea, and neither one of us wanted to accept the reality of each other and the reality of the relationship. But I don't wish harm upon him, and I didn't answer because I don't want to get pulled back into that mess. But, I genuinely hope that he is doing better, and I hope that he is, benefiting from, seeking treatment. I hope that he is. And it was honestly, I don't want to say hoovering, because the fact that he's seeing somebody now means that he has a formal diagnosis, and I don't want to misdiagnose him. I talk about narcissist as like an umbrella, because a lot of people with narcissistic personalities, they follow the same patterns, but I don't have the ability to diagnose him. So he has his own diagnosis, I suppose. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to reconnect with him, because I don't think that that's healthy for either of us. But I think that it really, I think that it was a nice gesture, and it made me think about some of the like better moments that him and I had, and appreciate it in a way. I think that I've healed enough to where I don't have to hyper focus in on the bad times, but there are really bad times, and it got to the point in our relationship after a while that like, have you ever been in a relationship with somebody that like you despised? Where like it just got to the point that like you couldn't stand each other. So like the like fun moments that we had in like the last year of our relationship, like funny moments that I can look back on, they're horrible. They're horrifying. Like there was this one moment that we both like laughed really, really hard with each other, but what led up to it was extreme. Like I don't want to, this is, I'm going to recount some abuse to you. There was one time that it was like my birthday was coming up, and we were trying to decide what we wanted to do for my birthday. And I'm the type of person that when I make a decision on something, I will really dig my heels in. Like, I don't care about your opinions or like, what you want to do. Like, this is what I want to do, and I'm not going to change it. So, I think that we had already decided on what we were going to do for my birthday, and then he decided last minute that he didn't want to do that, and I was like not backing down on it. Like, no, I don't want to stay home instead. I wanted to do that for my birthday. So it escalated into a fight. He was like drinking hot tea. I don't know if he remembers this. He was drinking hot tea at the time. So, after I called the police and he was arrested for physically attacking me, he stopped hitting me or in a way that would leave marks. So at that point, it turned into more intimidation. So he was, he got mad, and I was just like, I think that was the problem throughout our relationship, is that he really wanted me to like submit to him. But it's like, I'm not submitting to you because you're like aggressing upon me, like I think feminine people submit naturally to somebody that is the right person for them, and that knows how to speak to them, knows how to, not handle them, but knows how to like be a good partner to him and I. Like, there was a lot of resentment between us, and I'm not going to submit to you because you're like screaming at me. Like, I'm just going to be like shut down. Like, at this point, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Leave me alone. Anyways, he was drinking hot tea at the time, and he went to throw the mug at me. Well, not at me. He was wanting to intimidate me, so he was throwing it like, at the wall behind me. He went to throw the mug at me, and when I was looking at him, the way that he threw it in a way that he like, I think he did it like up, so like the hot tea went all over his face, and he threw the mug at me and it hit the wall behind me. But then like he's sitting there with like hot tea all over his face and like down his neck. And it was one of those moments, like, when like you're in school and like you're not supposed to laugh, which makes it more funny. Like it was like a moment of like shock because, you know, there's a shattered tea kettle behind me. There's tea all over the walls that I'm gonna have to clean up. And he is like staring at me with like tea all over his face. And we like looked at each other for a moment and then we both started like hysterically laughing. And like, that's how like sick our relationship had got. That like, it would get like that out of hand. And then like, you know, something would break and we would go back into like being friends because we had, you know, been together for so long. And him and I really were friends. He used to tell me all the time that like, sometimes I wish that we hadn't dated so that we could maintain friends, because I know that, you know, we're gonna break up. This was usually, we had like a breakup talk every few months. It was so bad. And you know, but like I've got to a point now that I can look back on like little moments of that, and like, you know, see that like, I think that it's about seeing the humanity in people, you know, that he obviously has trauma that he reenacts in relationships, and this is something that has occurred in all of his intimate relationships. And for him to actually admit that to me and like reach out to me to let me know that, and, you know, tell me that he regretted the way that he treated me, I think that was big of him to do that. So I genuinely hope that therapy is working out for him. But that's kind of what I'm talking about, you know, that me dating, having that sort of experience where everybody wanted us to get married, everybody wanted us to have children, everybody used to tell me how lucky I was and how they wish that they could have a relationship with us. And to the outside world, yeah, we hold hands everywhere we go. He opens the door for me every single time. He's always like, you know, making sure that I don't have to carry anything. Like he does do stuff like that. And it, you know, it was romantic that he would get me roses all the time, but it's like, he's getting me flowers, he's getting me presents, he's being, you know, Prince Charming because he punched a hole in the wall last night, you know, because he ripped the bathroom door down a few nights ago when I wouldn't open the door and talk to him because he was scaring me, you know, like that was the relationship. But I didn't tell people about that because part of me wanted to protect him. It's, you know, I think that it's hard for people to understand that are outside of that sort of really toxic enmeshed relationship, that you can have love for somebody and then be terrible. And I think that when I got out of that relationship, I really had to demonize him for a long time just to make sure that I did not re-enter that. But now I can look back on it and I don't know. Part of me is going to always be angry, and part of me is always going to feel that my 20s were stolen from me, kind of. And not just him, there were other abusive people in my past too. But I think that I can also look back on that relationship in particular and the time that we had together and see that I evolved from that relationship, and I would not be who I am today without that relationship with him. And, you know, for better or worse, I really do love who I am today. So it's part of it. It's part of understanding that experiences might not always be good, and your soul contract might include a lot of darkness, but it's about coming out of that darkness, because I wouldn't be able to sit here today and have the impact that I do on others that are experiencing abuse, and I wouldn't have the know-how of, you know, what abusive relationships can look like and how to recognize abuse. I wouldn't be able to help people with that if I had not experienced that sort of relationship. And also in a way that I did have love for him, more so a version of him that I wanted him to be. I was in love with what I wanted him to grow into. And it took me a long time to accept that that was not going to happen. And the longer I stayed in that connection, the worse it was getting. And, you know, he recognized that as well. And I do think that for who I was at that point in my life, I really did love him a lot. And I think that, for what he was capable of, I think that he loved me too, you know. And I can look back on that let go of it. I think that that's part of letting go of it, is because a lot of people, I've talked about this to Scorpio a little bit in a different way, because Pisces is a different vibe than Scorpio. And I feel like water sign readings are always getting a little bit deeper than the, you know, other signs. I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? What I talked to Scorpio about? It's gone. I don't know what I was talking about. It was going to be good too. It might come back in a minute. Sorry. It happens sometimes. Lose my train of thought. I get, for some of you, music is important, and creativity. You need to find more inspiration in your life and spend more time doing things that make you happy. It really, the energy here, Pisces, is that you are learning how to guard yourself. For some of you, there's a Taurus. There's a Taurus you need to protect yourself from, because this placement, it's like they act like they care for you, and they act like they want to heal you, but this person is hurtful. I don't get that this person is capable of loving you the way that you need to be loved. And I think that that's okay. It's not okay somebody abusing you, actively abusing you, but I think that it's okay sometimes to recognize that although I care for this person, they're not capable of meeting my needs. And, you know, they might not be healthy for me to be in a connection with. That's something else, is that, like, I talked about the connection I had with a Scorpio, and again, a darker way. It's not the same person. It's a different person that was, you know, emotionally abusive to me. Something that Scorpio placement I talked about used to always say to me is, when we would get into a fight and he would push me till I would lay out how I felt about him and his behavior in a nasty way, because he would intentionally say things to rile me up, basically, until we would get into a fight. And I honestly think that sometimes it's like he wanted me to fight with him, because I think some people, like, they recognize fighting as love, so like they want to see how far they can push you, because if I can get a reaction out of you, then you care about me, you know. I think some people just have chaotic upbringings, and that's how they approach relationships. But something he always used to tell me whenever it would get into a fight, it's like I don't know if he, like, wasn't as, like, quick thinking as I was, or maybe in a way it's like he didn't really have an insult to hurl at me. So he would always say, well, if you were that great of a woman, your ex wouldn't have abused you. And honestly, I would never do this and forward that email to this guy to say, here you go. I think that it's not our responsibility the way that people treat us, but I do think it's our responsibility for what we accept in our life. And I did accept that behavior for a long time, because I genuinely thought that I could love him into being a better version of himself. And we used to have pep talks all the time. I'm not getting off track, because this is relevant for somebody. Somebody is struggling to move into a new life because they're afraid that the past is going to repeat itself. If you find balance and understand that as you rise and as you do better, people are going to watch you. People are going to want to talk to you. People are going to want to reconnect with you. It's when you calm your mind so that you don't react. Because honestly, when I got that email, I was on my computer. And I didn't have a negative reaction, because, like I said, I had felt him for a few days. And I had been thinking about our better times together. So I didn't expect him to reach out, but I felt him in my energy for a few days. I almost, like, responded because I was on my computer, and then I thought, I don't owe him anything. I don't owe him a response. And I think sometimes a person that was abusive towards you reaching out, especially with this, because this is what, you know, from my experience with him and other people that have been abusive towards me, they always come back with, well, I'm seeing somebody now, I'm getting help, I'm going to therapy now. That doesn't mean that, you know, we need to reinitiate anything together. And I don't think that that's what he wanted. I almost responded at the time, and then I, like, thought about it, and I was like, that's not a good idea for me, because I because I was in a good mood at that point, and I would have responded and I was like, I'm glad to hear that, and I appreciate you saying that to me, which, you know, is true, but it would open the door into I have experienced too much manipulation in that connection to reinitiate anything with him, you know. So I think that that's a point we have to get to, Pisces, is because you guys, I'm a Pisces sun, we have a tendency to be codependent, and we have a tendency to either take the victim. Pisces have a victim complex, but you're also very codependent, you're daydreamers, so you have a tendency to see the world through rose-colored glasses. So you don't want to accept the truth of a situation that's bad for you, and you always want to play victim. But I don't consider myself a victim of domestic violence. I consider myself a survivor of it. But, you know, I take responsibility for the fact that I knew the day that I met him, I did not like him. I knew immediately. I had a really bad energy from him. I didn't like his energy. He had a weird vibe, but we were roommates, and it's like he slowly worked his way in. We became friends, and then, you know, it spiraled from there. And I had just moved to a new city. I didn't know that many people, and the people that I did know were not like being super nice to me. It's not that they were being mean to me, but like they weren't making any effort to like I just feel like if like somebody that I was friends with moved to my city and they didn't know anybody, I would be like, let's hang out, you know. And part of that is, you know, they shouldn't have to always initiate, but they didn't really try to hang out with me either, you know. And I was working a lot, so he was there. He was in college at that time, so it's like I would have random like weekdays off, and he would like just make his schedule around mine, and we would like go adventure together, and that was a part of our relationship. So I had a lot of adventures with him, and not all were bad. Not all were bad. We had a lot of like silly, goofy memories together, but the abuse obviously overshadowed it. But I've gotten to a point now where I can accept that, you know, that was a situation that happened, and it got really bad, and we definitely should have broken up probably way earlier. But, you know, a part of me wanted to hold on to that relationship because I had this fantasy of, you know, he was gonna magically become somebody that didn't start, you know, slamming and breaking stuff anytime I said no to him. It's an energy of finding balance, you know, and not allowing people to get reactions out of you. I didn't have a negative reaction when I heard from him. I didn't, you know, it didn't make my world fall apart. I actually had a like positive, not towards him, but I had a positive, like I appreciated that he did that. And if this would have been a year ago, 2 years ago, I would not have been okay with him reaching out. So, and you know, maybe he picked up on those vibes. You're headed forward, and this is the Chariot. It's a Cancer card. So I get the energy of Cancer. You started to manifest new beginnings into your life. And these are, if you continue down this path, it's going to bring abundance. And for some of you, it's bringing like, you know, your long-term connection here. But it's an energy of beginner's mind. You have to let go, which is difficult. It's way easier to say that, especially like I have a lot of relationship anxiety. So if anybody starts to behave in a way that reminded me of my ex, and not in the like open a door for me and like, you know, buy me dinner sort of way, but the manipulation that I experience, I get freaked out. I have PTSD. I have triggers that will have me relive moments, you know, from that. So that's something that I have to be aware of. And I try to communicate with people when we're getting closer. I try to be honest about the fact that I'm emotionally reactive because I have ADHD. My emotions, it's hard for me to regulate my emotions because I have ADHD. And I also have PTSD, so I get triggered very easily, which I can self-soothe after a time period, but I have freak outs, and I start to, I don't want to say demonize people, but if somebody reminds me of a abusive pattern that I've experienced from somebody else before, I don't want to deal with them anymore. It makes me uncomfortable, and I don't want to deal with them anymore. And part of that is good. You know, I shouldn't want to be around somebody that uses other women to make me jealous to get a rise out of me. I shouldn't want to engage with somebody romantically that starts breaking stuff when I say no, or when I have any resistance to what they want to do. You know, there was a time that this is why he drove everywhere, because he knew that I didn't like to drive and it gave me anxiety. I like to drive alone. I don't like to drive with other people in my car, because he's not the only person. There's another person that I was traumatized early driving other people around. There was one time, so I grew up in a small country town. My college was rural too. So I moved this city after college. Driving in a city and parking, you know, parallel parking, that's high stress and difficult. He tried to help, but he's the type of person that, like, you have 10 minutes to get it right. And if it takes longer than 10 minutes, he's going to freak out. Like, my old car, there was an indent in the glove box on the passenger side because he started punching the glove box when I didn't pull out when he wanted me to pull out, because I was getting nervous because I couldn't see the cars coming. And he's like, you need to look through the windows of the parked cars. And I'm like, how can I look through the windows of the parked cars? You know, I can't see anything. And he's screaming, and then he starts punching the glove box. So, yeah, he drove me everywhere because of that situation. You know, it's one of those things, but to the untrained eye, to people that don't know, and somebody that has magical thinking, and somebody that doesn't want to accept that this relationship is abusive, and the more I stay in it, and the more I accept, the apologies, the half-assed apologies after abuse, the worse it's gonna get. Oh, it is so romantic that he drives you everywhere and he doesn't make you drive. He complained all the time. But he knew that I would have a mental breakdown. And I haven't really, I did one person. I don't drive other people that often. I feel like if I was driving a man and he raised his voice to me, I would probably have a meltdown. I get triggered by stuff like that. But I can accept that about myself and work on that and try to find safety in safe relationships. I don't think that you should totally abandon your past, though, because if I'm, hanging out with a guy and he starts punching, something around us because of anything, really, because of anything. If somebody is violently reactive like that, I probably don't need to be around them at all. No woman should be around a man that deals with anger by punching stuff in the immediate vicinity of the woman. Man too, man to woman, whatever. You shouldn't be around people that are violent to intimidate you. Anyways. Going hermit mode, Virgo placement possibly, to find your inner power. I honestly don't care if you don't like this type of reading, because I feel like these readings help who they're meant to help. And honestly, like I said to the other, I'm not getting that many views right now, so I'm not making money off of YouTube, so I can post what I want to. It's my channel. If you don't like when I talk about my personal life, you can find another reader. There are a lot of them out there. You're connecting to your inner creativity. It's like spirit is isolating you from people so that you can recognize who you are outside of what other people want you to be, and that you can find your inner power. Being creative is very healing. Most people find self-expression through creativity. YouTube is a form of creation, is a form of content creating, is a form of, being a creator. It's very cathartic for me to get on here and talk about experiences that years ago would have had me in shambles, and now I could talk about in a different light that, it wasn't all bad, but when it's not all bad, you can kind of try to convince yourself that the bad isn't happening. There's somebody that ghosted you, moved away from you, and this left you wounded. It's because here, There's a Taurus placement involved. It's green, so I get that, like, there's an energy of, like, wanting to open your heart up to somebody, but the cactus, it's like this person's love hurts, or they expect love to hurt. I get here somebody tries to pull your energy off of you, and be careful around them. How do you pull somebody's energy? It's you intentionally making somebody feel bad, or trying to gain the upper hand off of another person by treating them poorly. You are acting as an energy vampire, and you are pulling their energy off of them. So somebody that ghosts you and then tries to come back into your life, that's a form of, did you ghost them so that you could have the upper hand over them? That might not have been your immediate thought process, but if this is like an avoidant energy. Avoidant people do want love, but they fear love. But it doesn't mean that the way that you behaved is acceptable. You know, I can understand that maybe you ghosted somebody or act in a hurtful way because you, again, maybe you associate pain with love. So when you start to feel close to somebody, you push them away because you don't want to get hurt. That I can understand your humanity and have compassion for that. But that doesn't mean that ghosting that person didn't hurt them. And especially if you're trying to use that as a manipulation to get your way. If every time a person says no to you, your response is to block them, ghost them, and then you come back a few months later, you know, expecting things to be the same, especially if you're not actually apologizing or making a genuine effort to make it right and change your behavior, you're a manipulator, and that's emotionally abusive. Especially if you're dealing with somebody, which you probably are. If you're avoidant, you're probably attracting somebody that would tolerate this behavior, would be somebody with abandonment issues. So you are intentionally triggering their abandonment issues to get the upper hand over them, or to generate a closer relationship than what it is. Yeah, and for some of you, you're going to experience karma for doing that. Oh no, this is a long reading, Pisces, but it's been a while and who cares? You don't have to watch it. I didn't force you to. Your intuition is right about this person, Pisces. They do have casual relationships. You were in denial at first about them. You thought that maybe they just needed more time and that it would eventually head to a long-term relationship. You're recognizing now that you just need to let this person go, that you need to surrender this person, this connection, that no amount of being patient with somebody that is not, there's a difference between being patient with somebody that is actively doing the work and being patient with somebody and being delusional and thinking that they're doing the work when they haven't shown you any sort of evidence that they've evolved. And that's one of the most unfortunate things is, you know, have you ever like disconnected from a person because the relationship was toxic, and then you reinitiate with them later and you recognize that this person has not evolved whatsoever? They're still doing the exact same bullshit. It's annoying, but that's a lesson, and don't let people waste your time. See the truth for what it is. If somebody was genuinely sorry, they would apologize and they would do the work to make it better. They would put an effort to make changes. They would be honest with you. This is somebody that doesn't show their true feelings for you. And it's like whenever you try to have a conversation about where is this going, whenever you start to get close to this person, they ghost you, and they don't want to let you go. It's like they run away from you, but they don't want to let you go. And it's because, again, this person wants love, but they have this fear that love hurts. So they keep their options open. They like to have casual sex. They have casual partners, and they keep their relationships casual because they fear true commitment. What part of that says, let me give them time? You know, this person is a manipulator and they backstab you. Yes, this is the person you were thinking about. This is somebody that you might have friend zoned them. They friend zone you, but they try to hold on to you. This person has a lot of childhood issues that rather than healing, they bounce from partner to partner. They go out a lot. They're constantly trying to distract themselves because they don't want to deal with the fact that they have wounds from their childhood they need to address. So this is somebody that just goes around hurting other people. And it's like, as soon as a relationship starts to get close, they sabotage that, and then they bounce into a new relationship. Hurt you, they hurt the next person, they hurt the next person. You just need to let this situation go and move forward. It's not even about them, because I talked to a client about this earlier today. I asked them honestly, okay, this person that we're doing a checkup on, what do you actually want out of this relationship? What do you want out of a relationship with them? They didn't. You know, it was a thing that you're attached to, wanting to, a reaction out of them, wanting to see that their behavior has nothing to do with you. For some of you, it's like, you fear rejection so much that you hold on to avoidant partners. This is something that I saw that hit home for me, and I was like, how dare you say that to me? I saw this recently that it said, if you constantly find yourself dating people that are emotionally unavailable, there is something within you too that is emotionally unavailable, and that is why you date people that can't offer you a commitment, and you chase this fantasy of commitment. Which, if you're honest with yourself, what would a relationship with that person that ghosts you constantly, what would a relationship with them look like? You know, would you even be able to have a successful relationship with somebody that constantly makes you feel abandoned, that doesn't meet your needs, and you're constantly forgiving without seeing? For some of you, it's like they don't even actually apologize. And if they do, it's like they apologize and then they do the exact same thing. You know, at some point you have to recognize that this is who this person is. And it doesn't mean that they're a monster. They just might not be able to handle a healthy relationship. And what does me waiting for this person to magically change this? Your person is not changing, Pisces. They're not. They just find a new relationship. They have a relationship that triggers them in any way to recognize something that they would need to change in order to grow, something they would need to address in order to grow. They peace out and find somebody new. And then as soon as that person starts to see, you know, hey, this is toxic, somebody new. You have to recognize when you find yourself in situations like that it's not about the other person, that you're chasing a desire to be chosen by somebody else because you're not choosing you. Stop giving other people the power to determine your value. If somebody doesn't want a relationship with you, that has nothing to do with who you are. That just means that you're not a person for them. And it sounds like this person doesn't want a relationship at all. They might think they want a relationship. They need to do some serious work on themselves before they would be able to handle a mature relationship. They have too many childhood wounds. This person has too many issues. You know, like I was talking about earlier, that abusive relationship that I was in, him and I have not talked to each other in almost 4 years. He's just now admitting that, you know, it wasn't my fault, that his abuse was not my fault. Does that sound like somebody I need to, let's get back together? No, and I'm not saying that's what he was saying, but it's this sort of situation. I do appreciate that it took a lot out of him to do that. And I don't know the motivation behind it. And I don't want to make assumptions. You know, I'm just going to leave it as that was a gesture of goodwill. And, you know, for what it's worth, I forgive you, but I don't want you back in my life. You know, it wasn't a good situation for either of us. neither one of us need to be involved. My mom used to always say, after like my parents like grasped the reality of like that relationship was severely abusive and it was not going to get any better, my mom used to always say, like, why would he even want to be with a girl like you anyway? Like, if he's somebody that wants a girl that's going to go along with everything that he says, why would he want to be with somebody like you? I am defiant. I honestly think it was more about the chase. I think that it's more about the chase with a lot of people with me, because I'm so defiant and like, I don't want to say I'm cold, because I'm a very warm person, but I'm detached. It's that Aquarian energy. I have a detachment that I think people like get to where that's like they want to win me over like I'm some sort of prize, but I'm a person, and you know, I come with baggage. I have my own shit going on, and I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that wants to be with me because of like, you know, what they think I am. I want somebody that loves me for who I am, you know? And I understand that that's just going to take time, and that's going to take trial and error. And, you know, sometimes I'm going to meet people and date people and think that it's going somewhere, and it's not. And that's just what it is. But that's not a reason to like give up on love. I am truly a lover girl. I am truly somebody that I will always believe in love. And big part of that comes from like, my parents are still together, and my parents are soulmates, very much soulmates. And it's like, they're together and they, you know, they're human, but they do love each other. So I think that I was very blessed to grow up in that environment. And because of that, I'm always going to believe in love, but you got to stop looking for love with people that only show you pain. And, you know, some people are raised that love is pain, and that's something that they have to address in therapy and with shadow work as well. It's more than just, you know, energy. It's, you really got to address your mental processes. And, you know, I do too. As somebody with ADHD, emotional regulation is one of my biggest struggles. It always will be. And it's something that I have to be aware of. And I have to apologize often for emotionally reacting to something that, you know, I shouldn't have reacted that way. I do that as, you know, I can sit here as a professional shaman that has done heavy shadow work for years. Is you're never going to get to where you don't have your issues. You're always going to have issues. It's not about magically not being the person that experienced the trauma that you experienced. And, you know, and that's the thing about people that abuse others, is they experience trauma that they're reenacting with other people, and you can feel sympathy for their trauma without accepting them re-traumatizing other people. So I don't know. That was a long reading. I hope that you guys got something out of that. It was honestly, it's been a weird week for me. Like I said, years ago, that would have like really thrown me off, but I've gotten into a place in my healing journey that I actually really appreciated that he did that. And I didn't respond, and I don't think that I'm going to, because I really don't think that it would, I don't want to like, I think it's just best to leave it, you know. And if he sees this, I hope that you're well, and I do truly appreciate that you did that. And I hope that there was nothing manipulative, you know, but I don't know, and I don't want to know. You know, I hope that you're not the same person that you were years ago. It's none of my business. I appreciate that though. Okay. I'm gonna let you guys go. I will see you again soon. Like I said, if you have a recommendation for a future reading, if you want to see a future reading, let me know. Well, you'll see readings for me in the future, but if you like want to see a specific reading, let me know. I will try to do the best I can. I can't do all the signs right now, but I will do the ones that people want to see. Okay, I'll let you go. Bye.